Hi class, Mrs. Miller here. I just want to go over one more time this idea of devices that are used by authors for a purpose in narrative and what the function of those devices is. Okay, and so the last time we had this assignment, some of you folks confused the device with the function, and so I thought maybe if I could go over it one more time with you, it would help clarify some things. So this is the document that you're working on, and you'll fill in, of course, your name, the block, the date, the text name. And then in this first column, you're going to be naming the device that you see in a particular quotation. So for example, in this quotation, the lie is cunning and it gets on your tongue easily. We would call that a definition. Where did I get that word definition? Well, I could get it from this document, which is attached in your module. I've gone ahead and listed the device, given a definition. If you'd like to go through and find images for these so that helps you learn them, you're welcome to do that. I've also alphabetized them for you. I removed anything from this list that is actually an element of narrative. The anchor charts on the walls include both elements of narrative and devices, just so that those are terms that are it's kind of a reference sheet for terms that you need to know. So if we scroll down here to definition, there we have it, the meaning of a word phrase according to an official or unofficial source. This is an unofficial source. This is what somebody is describing the definition of the word lie. So it doesn't come from a dictionary. It doesn't say according to Webster's. It's just this person's definition of lie. So we have named the device right here, definition. We know what that means. We've listed the quotation, the textual evidence. Now we have to think about the function. Why is the writer using definition here in this text? Well, that information could come from the bottom of your list. These are the functions of devices and narratives, which are actually the elements of narrative, things we talk about all the time that narratives have. All narratives have a plot. The plot is the sequence of events. Let me write this in here. You might want to add that as well. Sequence of events, the things that happen. The characters are the animals or people who figure in the story, the protagonist, the antagonist, the foil. All narrative has conflict. All narrative has mood, emotion. All narrative has setting. All narrative has theme. All narrative has tone and attitude of the writer. Remember we said the difference between mood and emotion, you can use the letters to help you. The M in mood goes along with the emotion, the M in emotion, okay? The T in tone goes along with attitude, the T's in attitude, and the T in writer. So those are different. This is what's happening in the moment. This is the attitude of the writer, sympathetic or accusatory or somewhat cynical perhaps. So these elements of narrative are what goes in this third column. So why is the writer using definition in this way? Well, it's kind of foreshadowing. That goes along with the plot, something that may happen later. It also is suggesting a conflict. We know that conflict is a narrative element. All narratives have to have conflict. So we want the narrative elements in this column because those are the functions. This device, quotation here, this quotation here, this device is building this part of the story, okay? And we know a story has to have plot elements, foreshadowing. We know it has to have external conflict. So that's why this device definition is being used in the story. So once again, at the top of this document, we have listed about 40 different devices that you might find in a narrative. And underneath, we have all these different reasons that writers use these devices, okay? Because these are part of what a narrative, a story has to have. So a writer uses a device, and you'll tell me what the words are from the text, and here's why the writer uses it. Hi class, Mrs. Miller here. I just wanted to go through this one more time so that you would perhaps better understand the 3 columns and what I'm expecting you to do on this devices and their functions and narrative. Just want to explain it one more time. So, of course, you'll fill out the top part of this, and I just want to remind you that writers are using these devices, and this is our reference sheet for devices. They use them for a reason. Okay, sometimes it's to characterize the protagonist or the antagonist. Sometimes it's to create conflict. Sometimes it's to help the readers understand the setting or the context. So that's really all you're doing is you're listing the device, you're giving the textual evidence from the story, and then you're explaining why the writer has used this device. And the reason why is an element of narrative. So let's talk about this. Devices. Here's a list I've created for you of about 40 different devices. These come from our anchor charts, but the anchor charts, remember, also have other terms that are not devices. It might say conflict, for example, and that's really an element of narrative, not a device. So you can wade your way through this. I have given you the name of the device, the definition. If you want to on your own study these because you don't know them, there's a place for you to insert an image here, so I'll let you do that on your own if you need to. But at the bottom of this document, I have these functions of devices and narratives, and really all those are just the elements of narrative, those things that every narrative or story has. Every story has a plot. It's the sequence of events, the things that happen. Okay, every narrative, every story has characters. Every story has conflict. Every story has mood, the emotion of the scene. Every story has a setting, a time, a place, and a context, what's going on. Every story has themes. Every story has the tone. That's the attitude of the writer. Okay, and so your job then is to figure out, after you've named the device that's been used and you've given the textual evidence, why is the writer using this device, the function of that device? It's going to be one of these things. It's going to be one of these things that has to do with every narrative. So it might help you then when you're filling out this column 3 to go back to this list and to indicate, oh, okay, the writer's using definition because it's going to foreshadow or hint about something that's going to happen in the plot. And I want you to use those words. I want you to use words like plot and foreshadow and backstory and characterization. Use the word conflict, use the word mood, tension, to build the mood, to shift the mood, to support a theme. I want you to be able to use these words in your explanation in this 3rd column. Some people listed the device, listed the quotation, and in the 3rd column, they just paraphrased what the quotation was. Or they explained how it was a definition. I don't want that, okay? I can figure that out. And I'm assuming that you can figure that out too. What I want you to do is take it a step further and in this column explain why the writer is using it in terms of the function of a narrative. Does it help with characterization? Does it help with conflict? Does it help with the mood, the emotion of that scene? Does it help with setting? Does it help with tone or theme, etc.? Okay, so remember I've put these devices all here for you in alphabetical order. You can scroll through these to find them. You can also use this as a study guide that you can work on because you will be responsible for these words, these devices. And then I've also included for you at the bottom these elements of narrative. These are the things that all narratives have. And that's what I'm looking for in that 3rd column. Okay, so we talked about it being like the cause and this is the effect. Because these are used, the effect here is characterization or is conflict or is mood. Okay, whatever that narrative element is. So I hope that's helped you and good luck as you're doing your current analysis. Go ahead and save this document on the right so that you'll have that at all times in your computer. If If you have questions, don't hesitate to ask. Thanks so much.